Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I have joined you today in this great city of New York, a symbol of freedom, to speak on behalf of billions of North Koreans who are denied humankind's most basic freedoms. I am nervous to speak in this council, but I will take courage by thinking of my friends in my homeland who dream of the freedom to say what I am about to say. I was born in Pyongyang to an elite family, and that was loyal to the Kim dynasty. My grandfather, father, and all the adults in my family were members of the Korean Workers' Party. We were well off and privileged. From an early age, I enjoyed benefits only available to select few, and entered Kim Il-sung University aged 18. My aim was to become a North Korean diplomat. So in 2010, I went to study in Beijing, an opportunity that only us political elites could dream of. At the age of 19, I saw a world for the first time that was different from everything I had learned. In particular, the internet enabled me to learn about my country's history and realize the horrific truth of North Korea that had been kept hidden from me. The country that supposedly had nothing to envy in the world was nowhere to be seen. In its place were political prison camps, death from starvation, public executions, and people risking their lives to escape. Discussing my homeland with students from around the world made me further realize how many basic facts I had been kept ignorant of. And my loyalty for my leaders turned into a deep sense of betrayal. I realized that the Kim family that I wanted to serve were not my heroes, but dictators denying countries, countless people's freedom just to build their own power, wealth, and honor. I became determined to share with other North Koreans this newfound knowledge that started dangerous discussion with other North Korean friends studying in Beijing. The most important thing we could do was to study history, philosophy, fundamental rights, and democracy, and return to North Korea to share what we had learned with other North Korean youth. We believed that if everyone knew the truth, North Korea would have to change. Even in the most impossible circumstances, as university students dared to dream of basic rights for all North Koreans, we knew how dangerous the road ahead would be. But as we studied together and had fierce debates, we gave each other courage to believe in a new society that we could make. But one day in the winter of 2011, our group was discovered by the North Korean authorities. I had to flee from Beijing to South Korea to avoid arrest. I survived and found freedom, but that freedom had come at a great cost. It has already been 12 years since I defected, but I have still no contact with my family. The teachers that had taught me, my close friends, and so many people I had known faced the suspicion and repression of North Korean regime. The painful fact that I was the only one to survive and reach freedom torments me to this day. But I cannot give up. The plans that I made with my fellow North Korean students to change our homeland are still in motion. Excellencies, please stand on the side of the North Korean people, not the dictatorship. We need to give the same level of importance to North Korean people's rights as we do to nuclear weapons and missiles. We need to make the North Korean authorities more accountable for their policy, which amount to crime against humanity. We need to show Kim Jong-un that the ruthless repression of North Korean people and focusing on nuclear weapons is no longer the way to maintain his leadership. I also wanted to make an appeal to Kim Jong-un. Please listen carefully. Rule through only coercion and control cannot last long. Support built through indoctrination and misinformation is temporary. When people realize the truth, that support quickly turns into anger. Insecure power leads to an obsession of power, and tyranny easily breeds further tyranny. You need to free yourself from the chain of tradition and make a different choice. It is not too late. Allow North Koreans to live in freedom. Allow them their basic rights so they can live full and happy lives. Turn away from the nuclear weapons and threats. And return your country to the family of nations so all North Korean people may live prosperous lives. If North Koreans can eat enough and have the freedom to travel the world, they will respect your leadership without being forced to. That is true leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope we can be reminded of the power of the international community and the responsibility that comes with the power. The people in this room and the government you represent have the ability to create a change. North Korean people need you to use that ability. It is time for action, not just attention and words. The international community should increase accountability efforts to pressure North Korean officials to not actively commit human rights violations and make them aware of the long-term consequences of abusing their power. Secondly, the international community should use all available opportunities to raise human rights issues in dialogue with the North Korean authorities, emphasize the importance of human rights cooperation in improving relations with all countries, and make sure it is not demoted to secondary issue underneath security concerns. Lastly, the international community should significantly step up its investment and efforts to support North Korean people's right to information by increasing flows of news, media, and new technology into North Korea. A changing information environment is a crucial factor in transforming my homeland into a more normal society. Before I finish my speech, I want to send a message to the youth of North Korea in our language. 여러분, 해가 뜨기 전이 가장 어둡고 추운 법입니다. 그러나 그 어둠이 아무리 캄캄하고 두렵다 할지라도 해는 뜹니다. 북한의 미래는 여러분의 손에 달려 있습니다. 자유와 민주주의는 다른 누군가가 가져다 줄 수 있는 선물이 아닙니다. 우리 스스로 쟁취해야 합니다. 우리는 할 수 있습니다. This means the night is darkest and coldest just before dawn. No matter how dark and frightening the night, the sun will rise. The future of North Korea is in your hands. Freedom and democracy is not a gift that can be delivered by someone else. We have to achieve it for ourselves, and I believe we can do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to share the news with you that last year I became a father and I started a new family in freedom. But it breaks my heart that I cannot tell my mom that she is grandma to a beautiful baby grandson. We cannot resign ourselves to passing on our problems to the next generation. I look forward to the day when I can take my son back to a changed and open North Korea. I will show him where I grew up, and I will show my mother how bright and healthy her grandson is. With support and action from the people and governments represented in this room, we can bring that day forward, the day when every North Korean man, woman, and child can be free. Thank you.
And I particularly want to thank you, Mr. Kim. I know being here and sharing your experience comes with real risk to your personal safety. The DPRK regime would rather the world not know of its cruelty. But know the United States, along with many other UN member states, is grateful. We're grateful for your selflessness, for your courage, and for your conviction. Your story deserves to be told. It needs to be heard. We heard you. Thank you.